Hi everyone, I'm here today with Aryan Behzadi. He's the CEO of Arize, a very good friend of mine as well, by coincidence, which it makes the conversation even nicer, I guess. Aryan, why don't you tell people who you are, what you guys are doing with Arize?
So first of all, hello everyone, and then Rodrigo introduced me. So what we do is we are providing the first community-driven augmented reality platform, which we facilitate the process from the point that you have an idea till the complete realization of it in augmented reality. And we started around 2 years ago, and yeah, that's pretty much an introduction.
Nice, thank you very much.
I originally come from Iran, but for the last 5 years, I have been outside of Iran. First, I moved to Armenia and start living there. A few months after I was there, I founded the company. And of course, there's a lot of challenges, especially it depends from country to country. And the language, of course, especially in Armenia, was a challenge for me because not a lot of people speak English there. Of course, in recent years, it got better and better. But as for now, it's a little bit of a problem. And then I met Crossspring, which is a European accelerator over there in Armenia in one of the European programs that they have for startups. And a year after, I moved here in December 2018 and to just expand the business because we saw there's a better opportunity in Europe generally, not only Netherlands, but in Europe generally, it's a better opportunity, better market, uh, particularly richer market, and a better understanding of technology.
Maybe let me start with the first challenge you probably faced. Um, Something made you move from Iran to Armenia. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It was a little bit of a kind of my personality as well because I always wanted to do something, and I started working in the IT sector, especially in the development part, since I was 12. So I learned a lot of things in different companies that I worked in, and of course there's a lot of political aspects to it. And the one particular point that was like the main thing that's why I left Iran was that we have this obligatory military service when you turn 18 as a boy, and it's a complete waste of time of 2 years, 24 months. And so I had to like do something about it, and I got an acceptance for a university. So a lot of things went mixed up, and that's why I moved out of Iran. Plus, always it was a plan that I wanted to do something, and it had to be outside of Iran because, as I said, because a lot of limitations regarding internet communications and generally business in order to take it to a level that you can actually communicate with the whole world with your business and involve the other countries and nationalities.
So I think I got a few very important points out of what you're saying. I think the first one is you as a person, you always had the ambition of doing something more, right? So you had the
Yeah.
ambition of doing something cross borders. And when you say that you're living in a country that does not support these ambitions, I think it's a very interesting way of seeing things. So you realize that you cannot do that in your country for, of course, a bunch of reasons. In your case, the political situation. And you decided to search for opportunities abroad, right?
Yeah.
And how did that ended up being a company? So how did you become an entrepreneur? Did being in Armenia help with that?
Of course, because by the time that I got into Armenia, it was roughly right now 4 years ago that I entered the country. There was this startup ecosystem in Armenia that was starting to shape. So different programs, different communities starting to happen. And Armenia is quite a small country with quite a small population. So from 0 to 100 of making a tech community over there, or generally a startup community over there, it moved very fast. Therefore, in a short amount of time, you had a lot of connection, a lot of people knew you. Of course, inside of Armenia, but it's a very good starting point, let's say. And I originally had the idea with a friend of mine, idea of the company, and I entered with that idea into ISTC in Armenia, which was the an IBM accelerator kind of branch or something like that. You can say that. And there was this startup program. We accepted to that accelerator, and then I actually met my other co-founders over there inside of the program.
Mhm.
And so, therefore, I would say definitely the environment helped.
Can you tell us a little bit more? Why did you leave Armenia and how you end up in the Netherlands? I know you touched that a little bit, but I think it's nicer to go a little bit deeper.
Well, as I just mentioned, Armenia, or generally the country is, let's say, north part of Iran, or that particular part of Middle East, like Armenia, Georgia, Azerbaijan. These are quite small countries, each one with 3 to 5 million population on average. And so it's a very good point to start, but at some level, there is not a point to grow. You had to move to other places that has a bit better potential in terms of market, in terms of business, in terms of understanding of the technology, because these are the regions that are still developing, right? So these are like a few years, let's say, before the places in terms of technology and understanding of the mass public of technology and usage of it in comparison to Europe or US or North America and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are the main reasons that we moved here because, yeah, there was a better opportunity, there was a better market, and it's more opportunity to grow, not necessarily making money, but also learning more stuff in a bigger cycle of business, let's say, because there are bigger companies over here. Therefore, the business culture is a little bit different. The way that they treat the businesses is different, and the cycle generally is bigger. So I personally was feeling after a few years in Armenia, I was not feeling that we are actually having the growth that we should have, and therefore I started to look for opportunities to move as soon as I could.
And when you say I moved, the reason is because you're the only person from your company who moved, or did you bring someone else to the Netherlands?
Um, Currently, I'm the only person, but yeah, there are a couple of other my couple of my colleagues that are actually coming and going here. And one of the most important reasons that actually I moved here was the investor. So we have a Dutch investor and a European-based investor, and he also helps a lot with the development of the company, especially by the time that I moved here business-wise. So that was also
Cool.
one of the main reasons.
And the reason, and the rest of your company is still in Armenia.
Yeah, the rest of the company. Well, majority are in Armenia. Also, we have a couple of people in Iran.
And why did they stay in Armenia? What is the reason for that?
Well, of course, Europe is a more developed region, but in the same ratio, the costs and everything are higher, from cost of living to cost of hiring a professional human resource. So therefore, there are good talents in Armenia, and that I hired. I built a team over there, which is going to cost us much less from taxes to the actual salary of the people.
Hmm.
And plus, also, Iran and Armenia are very close with each other, and Iranian people can easily just go to Armenia. That is also one of the reasons that I kept the tech team there because I have a wide network in Iran from talent people. In case that I need or we're growing, I can easily move them over there and expand the team.
Nice. I want to bring something interesting. Just one question before, very short. How many people do you have in the team now?
9 right now.
Nine right now. So with nine people, you have the same mentality as a multinational company. Did you realize that?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So you have operations in a country, let's say the heavy part of the operations in a country that can offer you good talent for cheap prices, which is something that every big company starts thinking about to save their costs. At the same time, they're also in more developed countries trying to get more customers and learn from more advanced markets. I think that's just a perfect example of, yeah, how can we call it, micro multinational company?
A micro multinational company. You
But
can say that,
that is
and
beautiful.
I think the reason is also because of the concept that we are working with. So, generally in the software business, especially in the recent years, you're not creating something for your local market. Especially as I said in the app or apps market or platform markets, usually the mentality is that okay, you create something for some sort of a spectrum of people. Doesn't matter where they are from, but they all have the same need. So it's the same story because since the day that we created the idea, of course, we didn't want to stay in one country. It was ridiculous for us. We had to go into other countries, into different countries.
Yeah, I really wish that every company has their mentality. Can you tell us a little bit more about the hard part of doing everything that you have done so far? Because I know it's not easy to change countries once, especially twice, going by
Uh,
yourself.
yeah, probably gonna be the third and fourth time as well. But yeah, it's not. It also a little bit depends on your own mentality. and depends what are your priority, let's say, for life. So pretty much in this period of time, my highest priority is the company. So I'm like my mentality, the way that I live is aligned as the benefit of the company. So if 2 months from now the benefit of the company is that I have to move to US or Canada or Mexico for a better business opportunity or closing down the deal or whatever, of course I will.
Hmm.
And that's the thing. That's adaptivity, let's say. That, in my opinion, as a founder of any sort of business, you should have, because when you're starting, yeah, you're not a 100 people company. You don't have specific persons for every, let's say, micro task for your company that needs to be done. So you gotta do the things that are needed along the way, whether it's learning the new language, which I haven't done, by the way, but because I moved to the countries that I could get around with English. But from learning a new language or a new skill set or in learning a new culture to do business with.
Hmm.
So those are the important things that as a founder you should learn to do it. And sometimes you may not like it, but yeah, that's the game.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
that. This is what it is. Yeah.
So basically, yeah, you need to do what has to be done, right? That's what you're saying.
Exactly. You need to do what has to be done, and that's the adaptivity, in my opinion, that kind of defines, let's say, a successful person
Hmm.
or a successful company to an unsuccessful one. Well, the definitions are very broad. What is successful? What is unsuccessful? But in a very, let's say, generic way.
Of course. And something that I think you mentioned before, of course, language is one of the things that might be a big barrier. You went to English speaking countries, which made it a little bit easier. But there are also a lot of other things that I hear from companies or people that went abroad in situations like yours. One of them is keeping the relationship with people from your country.
Mhm.
So your family, your friends, sometimes a wife, a husband. How do you manage that? Is that something that really bothers you every day? Is it something that you can bear?
Of course, it bothers. I mean, there is no doubt about it. Of course, we want to be next to your family, friends, wife, fiance, or whatever you have in your home country. But yeah, it comes back to the same point that what is the priority? It's not like the family is not in the priority, but especially in the family, everybody has their own life.
Do you feel like it is harder to network because you're a foreigner?
Depends on country to country, I would say. And again, the languages. For example, there are some countries that has a language barrier, like France. Well, of course, it gets better, but France or let's say Spanish-speaking countries, um, you have to speak their language in order to get into their community, in order to get around. And but in Netherlands, of course, part of it also you've got to speak Dutch. But yeah, it's the same story with English. When you go to US, of course, you can get around, or in an English-speaking country, it's easier to get around when there is a complete difference between the language you speak and the language of the target country, let's say.
Hmm. Maybe our last question is I hear a lot of people saying that they would not be able to go abroad because they cannot manage their team. And I think that's something you're doing quite well, as I can understand. How did it work for you?
A lot of shouting, screaming, and fights, but no, of course, we're kidding about that. But it's not a piece of cake. It has its own challenges, but one of the most important thing is that you should make your team sustainable on their own. Meaning that if you disappear for 2 days because for whatever reasons you gotta go to an event, you gotta go speak somewhere, or even you're going on a vacation, let's say for 2 weeks. So the team has to be able to move forward with it. And this is what I have been trying to do to work up with our team in a way that they become more sustainable as we go, and it requires a lot of work and a lot of work in the beginning to do. But yeah, it's not impossible. It's something very doable, and a lot of companies already does it, from multinational ones to the smaller ones, all to to companies that are completely, let's say, decentralized their team all around the world.
I like the aspect that you bring that you need to make them sustainable by themselves. So let's say they need to be independent from you. Um,
Mhm.
because I believe that if you put yourself in this kind of position, you force the team to be like that, right?
Yeah, that's also part of it. And there's a little bit of a psychology also involved, that as a founder depends on your team, you also got to learn how to talk to them, how to move things forward, um, how to give them this sense of, let's say, urgency that they have to do something, they have to keep it up. And yeah, it's very important to do, because again, as an entrepreneur, you're involved in a lot of stuff that maybe not your specialty but consumes a lot of times from you.
Hmm.
um, Talking to investors is one of them. It takes a lot of time. It depends on the size of your investment, but usually the investment rounds that are more than like 200, 300K, it takes 6 to 9 months from negotiation until a done deal. And this, it's a constant document making and etc. And it's nothing special, but nobody else rather than you as the founder can do it. And of course, you are the driving force of the company. And if you're on top of, let's say, whatever that is happening in your company in terms of development and keeping progress, and if you're on top of everything, of course, everything is going to move faster, because yeah, you are the driving force as the founder. But you got to balance it. So when you're not there, also things are moving forward, but not as fast.
Yeah.
And that is something natural. That doesn't matter how sustainable your team are, it's not going to happen, because you are the one that are always pushing and then motivating and then dragging, in case of need, someone around or push everything forward.
Yeah, yeah. No, nice. I love to have your perspective because this is something, yeah, that not everybody can deal with, but it's nice to see the perspective that you bring. I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Would you, do you have any kind of advice for those who are thinking about going to other countries to be an entrepreneur?
um, do it, I would say. And it there are costs for it. You got to understand that it's not easy, as we talked about it, but also the satisfaction feeling when something works afterwards, it's phenomenal. I think that's kind of the feeling that all of us as entrepreneurs, we're addicted to it, because when you make something happen and then you are the one that made it happen, it has a very nice feeling. And the thing is, what are you doing, and the reason you're doing it, it should be greater than the pain that may cause you along the way. So therefore, you're gonna be able to bear it and then keep it forward, push it forward on a daily basis. It's a daily struggle, especially when you're abroad.
Man, that was beautiful. I think it was the perfect closing words. Nice.
Amazing.
Arian, thank you very much for the talk. Yeah, and where can people find you?
Yeah, we have. I hope you're going to share our info. But yeah, I'm personally available on almost all the social networks, and at the company as well. We have LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. So all of them are there. Just search our name, and then you're gonna find us.
Great. And thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Have a good day.